I think that the sort of known nature of the program of housing makes it so easy to actually experiment with. And so it doesn't have to be huge monumental buildings to transform our understanding of space. It can actually be something actually at a domestic scale. There is a part of every project where you take on new territory. And in a way, for us, we don't really do the same thing over again, that each one is a kind of new journey and an adventure. And so it's not that you don't reference a body of work that you're building yourself, but at the same time I think you take on new challenges in every project. So one example might be the Craven Roadhouse that we did in maybe 93, 94, which was an experiment of one kind. It was a very low budget project. It was for $100,000 Canadian. It was clad in plywood. It had really specific requirements. But because of the budget, we actually didn't have the opportunity to have a really articulated perimeter. It just cost too much. And so really the kind of lower level is really meant to feel very intimate and very cottage-like. And the second floor is meant to feel very loft-like. So within one building, the kind of sense of these two quite contrasting experiences, really by the kind of use of section, I think is really an important dimension of that project for us. And then, you know, a decade later, the same client comes to us and says, I'm going to actually buy a piece of my next door neighbor's property, and I'd like to build a studio. And that in the end, as opposed to, you know, replicating that building in a studio form, one story as opposed to two story, we actually saw it as a new opportunity to yet explore other ideas. And so this new studio for the Craven Road house is actually a kind of about a simple room that's full of light, and how you actually experiment with light and use these kind of wooden sort of fins to actually bring light into a room, and that's the new experiment. I think the iterative nature of the domestic scale, how individually driven it is by a client, actually affords for us a level of experimentation that is more challenging in larger projects that have committees and larger structures, that in a way we test things, and that we've always used the scale to test ideas. And for us, that's the pleasure and the delight and the joy of doing